Hey everyone, Rob J here, and today I'll be ranking Marvel video games for the NES. Today's tier rankings. Days of the week. Nobody likes Mondays, and nobody will like this game. This game is good at first. Wait, it's Tuesday. This is terrible. It's Wednesday, so it's a decent game, but you wish it was better. Kick back and relax, because it's Saturday. This game is awesome. Think of everything you would normally love about a superhero game and then throw it in the trash. Much like you should this game. Can you tell Storm is fighting alongside Colossus? Probably not. The sprites are so bad even for an NES game. The level designs are lacking any sort of creativity. This level is called Battle Through a Living Starship. More like Meatball Marinara Massacre. Ah, the deliciousness. This one is called Subterranean Confrontation. More like Cabbage Patch Seek and Destroy. You see where I'm going with this. The levels could have been more defined of what they're supposed to represent. Evidently, it's a lot easier to be a ranged character than a melee character. The melee character's attack almost seems undefinable. I don't feel like I'm hitting the enemy at all. It's incredibly frustrating. The enemies are bland and uninspiring. I mean, you fight bubbles, for crying out loud. The worst of the enemies that I've encountered are the gates. You might think I'm joking, but they can drain your health so fast, and they're reoccurring throughout every level. At this point, I lost all hope for this game being good. From the terrible sprite designs to boring gameplay, this game does not represent X-Men in the slightest. So let's rank it. It's a shame that I'm ranking an X-Men game so low, but it's just terrible. Like I said, they did everything completely opposite to make a superhero game fun. That's why I'm ranking the Uncanny X-Men in the Monday tier. I think this game was developed by two people with different visions. One wanted the game to be fun and show colorful graphics, extravagant sceneries, and some interesting lore. The other wanted the game to be as difficult as possible, where it's so frustrating that it's not fun. As you play through the game, you'll see how those theories make a lot of sense. Silver Surfer had so much potential to be a fun shooter, but the one-hit death is what deterred me from having fun. So let's analyze how you can die in this game. You can die by enemy projectiles. That makes sense. You can die by touching the enemy. That's acceptable. Finally, you can die by touching certain platforms and objects. That's ridiculous. So on top of the enemies you have to worry about, you also have to worry about platforms and objects. Fan-friggin-tastic. The only way you can tell what platform or object can kill you is by touching it, obviously, or seeing if your projectile is absorbed by it. This game requires a ton of memorization, muscle memory, and cat-like reflexes in order to progress through the levels. This would be a fun for people looking for a challenge, an extreme challenge. For the average gamer, it's not fun at all, as it can be quite frustrating how easily you can die. Without further ado, let's rank it. The one-hit deaths by enemies, objects, and platforms is my biggest issue with this game. I do love the music, level designs, and sprites. Silver Surfer had a lot of potential, but it was wasted by the extreme difficulty. That's why I'm ranking Silver Surfer in the Tuesday tier. For the NES, this Punisher adaptation fits the anti-hero very well, with guns blazing, and to mix it up, you can fight certain bosses by punching and kicking them, Punch-Out style. But why did they not add the music for the levels? That baffles me a lot. It of course does not affect the gameplay, but it could have set the mood to pump you up with some original NES tracks. Alas, a wasted opportunity. Let's take a look at the game. As I've mentioned before, your guns are blazing, destroying, and killing everything on screen. You can acquire ammo, an assault rifle, a rocket launcher, grenades, and a Kevlar vest. These items are hidden on screen in certain places, whether it would be in a crate or shooting a spot on the ground. It's completely random. You never run out of ammo, which is great. The game will always generate one bullet for you, but when you're down to one bullet, your firing speed is extremely slow, which can make shooting crates and random areas to find items difficult. This can also make it difficult to shoot multiple enemies on screen and taking down bosses as well. Controlling Punisher will take a couple minutes of getting used to, but you cannot move and shoot at the same time. You have a choice to shoot and then move your crosshairs, or to move around to dodge bullets, grenades, bazookas, sword strikes, and etc. Certain bosses allow you to go into a brawler punch-out mode where you can kick and punch. This is definitely a nice change of pace for the game, as I said before. When you're brawling, you have to be cheap as the bosses can hit you fairly quick. My advice is to always kick. It seems to be the most effective in brawler mode. There's not much negative things to say about the game, as I enjoy the simplicity and the fact that you're the Punisher. So let's rank it. Being a rail shooter and the fact that you're the anti-hero the Punisher made me enjoy the game a lot. I just don't understand why there's no music. It makes the game feel incomplete. You might think it's silly, as I'm going to be ranking the Punisher in the Wednesday tier. It would have been in the Saturday tier if there was music in the levels. When you think of Wolverine, do you think of swimming underwater, avoiding medieval traps, and using your claws sparingly? Of course not! You think of a vicious animal that kills everything in its path, wreaking havoc with his adamantium claws, and saying, "Is that all you got, bub?" Now, if you're expecting that kind of game, well, I hate to say this, you're going to be extremely disappointed. It's an okay platformer, but Wolverine feels extremely delicate as he can die by almost anything, or his health can be drained rapidly by a simple mistake. I understand spikes, pools of acid, or fire can kill you instantly, but this is Wolverine though! Give him a break! He's a self-healing tough guy! Technically, if you were to recruit the character Havoc in a level, which I completely missed by the way, you can swap between him and Wolverine so that Wolverine can regenerate health off screen. I feel they overcomplicated Wolverine's self-healing ability, and he should have had it from the get-go, or why not just have Havoc recruited already? This can be an easily missed feature for any player, which is a shame. There is Berserker mode, which can make you instantly kill enemies and you're immune to their attacks, but there's one huge problem with it. You have no control as it tries to periodically auto-attack for you. So if you're not trying to jump over spikes or anything, as it can instantly kill you because you're not immune to it. Believe me, this game has plenty of ridiculous jumps that can kill you if you don't time it correctly. I swear this game is like a perfect example of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Let's talk about the levels. To me, they seem a bit out of place for a character like Wolverine. This air level should belong in a Mega Man game. This horror theme level should be in Castlevania. This fire level might belong in Ghosts and Goblins, minus the robots. I understand these are traps set up by Sabretooth, but it just seems odd. The whole experience with Wolverine made me feel it was just a missed opportunity to be a great platformer. Getting through those levels felt like a chore, as you have to be so careful with every action you take. Fighting Magneto and Sabretooth was a bit anticlimactic for final bosses. It's just a shame. It's time to rank this game. Wolverine suffers from a lot of issues. The main ones for me would be your health being drained by a simple mistake to an almost useless Berserker mode. I have to give it credit that the music is awesome. I'm ranking Wolverine in the Tuesday tier. Captain America and Hawkeye are iconic heroes nowadays since Marvel has had an amazing success with the Avengers franchise. These heroes are strong, tactical, and resilient, but just imagine playing them in a game where they felt powerless at first. When I was playing the game for the first time, I made the rookie mistake of progressing through the levels quite quickly. I couldn't help but feel Cap and Hawkeye were so weak as it was taking a long time to kill enemies and bosses. I read more into collecting power crystals and how they increase your hero's power and life points. It became obvious that I had to farm these power crystals and max them out in order to defeat enemies and bosses a lot easier. I mean, look at this fight. It took forever. I was telling myself I must be doing something wrong. In order to farm these power crystals, I would have to repeat the same levels with both heroes but not complete them. You have the option of returning to the map screen, so once I knew I farmed all the crystals, I would just return, collect the power crystals, and do it again. This game is a side-scrolling action platformer, not an RPG. There shouldn't be any sort of RPG element like this in the game. It just slows everything down, and remember, there's no save states, so you would have to do this again and again every time you load the game. Aside from the power crystal issue, the game has amazing graphics and cutscenes. Look at that. Captain America and Hawkeye's animation look absolutely stellar. Even the main bosses look badass. I only got up to Crossbones, he kicked my ass every time. You have these red alert situations that you can choose to run into, and the background is pretty trippy. I don't know why, but I like this. It definitely gives you that sense of dread and say, oh shit. The levels are colorful and vibrant. You'll notice that they do reuse the same levels, but the somewhat new obstacles in them are easy to overcome. Honestly though, if it wasn't for the power crystal issue, I would be ranking this game very high. Like I said before, it just slows the game down and makes it feel like a chore. I know you're curious right now as to what I'm going to be ranking this game, so let's rank it. Due to the power crystal grinding being my only problem with the game, I'm ranking Captain America and the Avengers in the Wednesday tier. Spider-Man Return of the Sinister Six would have been a classic Spider-Man video game if it weren't for the clunky controls that just makes the gameplay frustrating. Here are some key points as to why the gameplay was frustrating for me. Hitting an enemy takes absolute precision. I literally could punch through or jump kick over an enemy. If you have the web shooter, then you're golden. Climbing a rope or a chain, I had to stand in the exact spot to climb. Honestly, forget about web slinging. It's inconsistent when you try to connect to another object. Or perhaps I just suck at using it. Anyways, I never got the hang of it. The levels were okay, nothing special about them. There was one instance where I had no idea how I made the jump work and was too scared to try it again. I mean, look at this! How did it work? The bosses are not that difficult. You can always find an easy way to defeat them. Electro, just be patient and find the right time to strike. Sandman, you can just crouch and punch. Mysterio, just be aggressive. Vulture, be patient and find the right time to strike him. This gray part of the building protects you from projectiles. Hobgoblin, be patient and find the right time to strike. You can also be aggressive if you find the opportunity. Dr. Octopus is the only one that gave me trouble. He's got a ranged attack and he's pretty aggressive being melee. By the end of the game, I had little patience running through his level over and over again, as it's just a cluster of enemies and objects. If it wasn't for the clunky controls, I would have enjoyed this game a lot more. Let's rank the final Marvel NES game. The main issues I had with this game were the clunky controls and precise hitting. Seeing my punches go through an enemy or jump kicking over them was incredibly frustrating. It does have some redeeming factors like the music, and I found the bosses to be fun. I'm ranking Spider-Man Return of the Sinister Six in the Tuesday tier. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, if you liked what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Rob J. Thank you for entering the Nova, and I'll see you next time. Take care.